Hello there, and welcome to Dharma Science Radio. Today, we're talking about projectors.
See, the thing I like about projectors is that they are as ignorant of themselves as manifestors like me. See, we don't care about ourselves. We don't. The last thing that a manifestor wants to know is how they work. You know? It's not interesting. They want to know if they have impact on someone. See, I've been watching projectors for years. And I look at them and I think, well, what are they about? What are they here for? I mean, what use do they have? Do they have any? I look at it and I think, generators are slaves and they work and they build all this stuff. And manifestors pretend they used to run it, and they're all busy in their energy. I mean, what is the projector here for? To whine? Is this their movie? Oh, it could have been so much better, Next life. I mean, what for? And when I was given the knowledge, they said, manifestors are out and projectors are... And I thought, are you crazy? I mean, how do you change the hierarchy that way? How do you put these people who don't know what they're doing, who have no power, and they're supposed to be at the top of the hierarchy, and us wonderful manifestors, they put us out to pasture. I'm pissed. I don't get it.
I think it's so funny that Rod doesn't get it when it comes to the changing of the hierarchy. The fact that manifestors used to dominate humans who used to dominate the world. We still dominate the world. And yet manifestors used to dominate other humans, and many of them still do, in a way. And they used to quite literally be the kings that would rule over others with a reflector that would kind of hang out and be their advisor, their guide, because the reflector can see into the whole community structures and how people either fit in or not, and how to condition them to fit in or condition them to not fit in. And so those manifestors, they're very powerful because they see impact. They see what really makes the difference. And even though they can't push the river, they have the hologram of pushing the river. They have this experience wherein it's like you're a 2145 classical manifestor channel, and there's this power to take control over the money, the resources, the finances, the way in which things happen, and to really force it to be this way. And yet in truth, the manifestor is following their impulse, which is their weighting mechanism, because every type has a weighting mechanism. And so this shifting of the hierarchy, the shifting of the control structures, you see the manifestor used to say, get out there, go, do it, now, do what I say. I am the king, you are my slave, generator, work for me, do the work. And now things have changed. Now the manifestor is, quote, retired, unquote, from their position as the old school rulers that tell others what to do. Because now that we have the nine-centered revolution and the projector has been born, no longer is simply impact the dominant theme. It's in our awareness, the dominant theme of recognition, this theme of truly being able to see into the order of reality and to see into the nature of how things actually happen, and thus be able to explain, when invited, how to correct the problem. And that's only when invited, because without being invited, the problem correction from the projector is received generally as bitterness. And nobody wants to just receive somebody else's unhappy. Like, oh great, yeah, it could be better. I know it could be better. It could always be better. And the thing about these projectors is they have this magical capacity to wait. When you're truly in your experiment of human design, when you truly know who you are, you're able to guide energy as a projector. You're able to see that you're able to see that you might not have a fixed relationship with generating your own energy, and because of that, you see into the nature of energy production and use, you see what wastes it, and you see what actually cultivates it into a higher order that allows things to unfold forward in a good way. And so as far as I'm concerned, that's what the projector's here for, is to guide energy to go forward in a good way. It's no longer about the simple manifesting impact of what happens here on the surface. Like, hey, you got $100,000. That's great. Well, hold on. You got $100,000 and you also hurt millions of people. That's not great. This is the recognition of the nine-centered evolution, the revolution of the projector, and the evolution of our awareness into seeing a bigger picture. And the projectors have the chance to guide all of us in this process. Only if they're awake. Only if they do their studies.
See, the world that we live in is a world for generators and projectors. I mean, this is the most important relationship that exists on the planet. And it's a very odd one. It is. See, projectors are so different. You really are. I mean, this is the thing to understand about type. Type is deeper than race. Type is deeper than any kind of cultural difference. I mean, for me, anything that's not a manifester is alien. It's alien. It's another thing. You know, it's a thing, whatever that is. It's a construct that I may understand theoretically, that I may have experience with physically, but I have no idea what it's like to be a generator or a projector or, God forbid, a reflector. I have no idea. You know, I got enough trouble just living in the old manifester game. You know? And I look at projectors and I think, wow, are they different? Because they got another time frame entirely. We don't work on the same time frame. We actually don't even live in the same Maya. It's different. See, everything for me, everything for the generator is fast. We are the fastest things you can imagine. We're fast at fucking up. We're fast at doing it right. We're fast. We are the energy beings. You know, driving the machine, you know, the one with the mouse going around and around and around and around and around and around. That's us. And there's projectors. Looking for that 1G center, like the man with the plug in his hand, looking for the socket. Where is it? You know, where can I plug in? And everybody's running around busy, and the projector says, where can I plug in?
The difference in aura type cannot be understated, cannot be overstated. It could not be more profound. Truly. The fact that we have an aura, an energetic expansion that we can't see with our naked eyes. And yet, it's kind of like we can. Say body language? That's close to being the aura. The thing is, the electromagnetic spectrum that builds up this entire vibrational reality we call the surface world. Projectors are designed specifically to see into this hologram. The fact that I think it's 22 trillion times per second that the entire cosmos is utterly destroyed and perfectly recreated. Like 22 trillion times a second. They found the refresh rate of the cosmos, you know? It's real fast. And it's being orchestrated by the magnetic monopole. The magnetic monopole, it only attracts the vibration that actually belongs to the individual. And so there's two fundamental natures of this attraction, because the magnetic monopole only attracts, it does not repel anything, it only attracts and it only pulls in. It's a monopole, after all. The thing is, things are let go of. Things are attracted in. There's attraction towards center, called gravity. And things are spit out at the other end. There's an exit frequency. And in human design, we call this exit frequency color. Now, when the color leaves the crystal, it's perfect. However, when the magnetic monopole of the design crystal recaptures the color that has left after it has already entered, left, and then been recaptured. It is in that recapture we have the chance to engage in something called transference. And transference is a state of information and energy wherein there is not the linkage to genetic continuity of genuine intelligence. Transferred intelligence is looking out the window that belongs to somebody else and getting to see your perspective of that other window. Now, technically, very technically, that transferred side of intelligence, it does belong to you. However, it's in a different way because there's such a dramatic difference between true, genuine intelligence and transferred intelligence. It's the difference between I am afraid, I fear for my survival, I'm going to study, I'm going to look at the world, I'm going to practice, I'm going to understand because I am afraid and I wish to no longer be afraid. And so I will become intelligent. And because I understand this world, I am no longer afraid. That's true fear. That's genuine genetic continuity, intelligence, fear, the basis of our intelligence. However, transferred fear, this comes from people that are orchestrated around their needs. Are their needs being met or not in this moment? What do they truly need? And how can they externalize that to the other opportunistically to meet their needs? And yet, if they're wrapped up in fear of survival or not, they're going to lose sight of their needs in this moment. Because the point of that fourth color is to be able to see that opportune moment to externalize their need and to recognize the influence that is the results of that process. And they don't have the intelligence behind fear. So if they try to study and figure every single little thing out, they'll get wrapped up in all these little details and not be able to communicate their needs when they have them. And thereby the fear gets exacerbated because now your needs aren't met, so you're even more fearful and you're going to try even harder to do what you can't do. You see? Now, it's a dramatic difference when you look into your transference and you notice it, you know? Your transference pops up and, oh, hey, look at that. There's a little bit of guilt in there. There's a little bit of, oh, hey, I could fix this. I could make a difference here. You know, I'm a hopeful person. So for me, my true intelligence is being able to let life handle itself. I know that life is perfect, and it's only my imagination that could create a scenario in which things are wrong. Life will handle itself. My body will handle itself. I don't need to get my mind overly wrapped up in what my body needs to do. I can let my mind be my mind and explore all the things it does and do its stuff because I know my decision making comes from my inner authority. And yet, if I was trusting the guilt, if I was trusting the transference potential, then I'd get wrapped up in how I need to fix things. I get wrapped up in how I need to correct the problem. And since I don't have the intellectual linkage of guilt, that fifth color, I'd be lost in how to fix it. And I would lose sight of how many things are going to simply fix themselves over time. Because I get wrapped up in there and, oh, I need to solve the problem. And in trying to solve the problem, I create a new problem. And so I don't do that so much anymore. I let myself, hold on, take a step back. I'm a hopeful motivation. If I'm thinking about all the guilty things I have and all the things I need to do, that's how I know I'm off track a little bit and I'm getting wrapped up in a transferred lack of intelligence black hole. And so now that I've learned to recognize that feeling a little bit more, instead of becoming identified with it and amplifying the feeling of that transference, I can actually let go of it and let it be what it is and go, oh, okay, I see that happening. I see that popping up. I notice it. I'm aware of it. I do not act upon it. And this changes my life. This changes the whole world. And so color is true for all of us. We all have a genuine intellectual color and a transferred color. And the thing about the projector is because you're seeing into the magnetic monopole, you have the most astute eyes to see transferred versus genuine intelligence. And this is a very powerful tool for recognizing the mechanics in play. So not that there's some massive thing you need to do with this information, so that there is simply mechanics in play change is in play, life is occurring, and you can learn to see it in real time, and you can learn to share it with another without bias, without unnecessary bias. Because we all have a bias, you know? Each and every one of us has an individual, unique perspective and all kinds of life experiences. And because of those experiences and our unique position, our unique perspective on life, that's a bias. That's a limitation. And it's the greatest blessing ever.
If you have enjoyed the show and would like to learn more about how all of this applies specifically to you, then kindly refer to the link in this video's description, Private Consultation. Here, we can dive into all of the details together in a recorded call. May your signature vibration of satisfaction, success, peace, and surprise find you in a good way.